sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. Don't miss our post-game show coming up tonight after Game 6. Should be a really good game, but I don't feel so good about Indiana right now. Their spirit might have been broken in Game 5. That said, don't miss our Larry Kuhn interview we did yesterday. Really terrific stuff on the CBA and the free agency and where Dwight Howard's going to go. Well, let's talk a little bit about Game 5 because the third quarter run that LeBron put on was pretty impressive and pretty much ended the game for them because it was very close up until then. I really don't understand what the Heat are doing on offense, and I really truly believe that it's holding them back because their defense was pretty good in holding Indiana down, but they're not getting good shots with this ridiculous 5-out set and a guy wandering around screening the ball. It's really not a good look for them, and when you look at a team like the Spurs and how they run their offense, you can understand what makes me so excited about watching that and get so frustrated about watching the Heat. However, in that third quarter run, they finally started to run horns, which is a big difference because it got LeBron James in good scoring position and putting a lot of pressure on the defense with movement. It's the key here. So let's look at that third quarter run, and let's not get crazy here if you're a Heat fan because the Indiana Pacers outscored the Heat in 2 quarters and tied them in the other quarter. So in reality, this game was right there, and had they been able to stop a couple of those baskets in the third quarter at the end, they might have been able to pull out this game. Here's a good example of what I love about the Spurs offense. They routinely make 5 passes, the ball moves side to side, and everyone cuts and screens. Meanwhile, the Heat continually spread the floor, stand around, and wait for one of their players to create a shot for himself. No post presence, no cutting. Late in the third, the game is tied, and Paul George has been killing the Heat. They run him to the post against Dwayne Wade, which is a great idea. But Indiana has some of the worst post-entry passers in the league. However, it almost helps George get the open shot. After running stagnant 5-man out most of the game, the Heat suddenly break into horns, with LeBron James at the high post this time. For much of the series, the Heat had him in the corner or on top to mixed results. Getting into the high post puts the most pressure on the defense, and they run a simple inside screen for him to get an easy 17-footer. The Heat adjusted to the Hibbert high pick and roll and dive to the post by fronting him. This should be an easy lob over Haslem, who is at least 5 inches shorter. However, their spacing is all off, allowing multiple Heat defenders to threaten that pass. Stevenson should stay deep in the weak side corner, and West should get higher, way above the free throw line. They still get a good roll to the rim, but Bosh flops a bit, and the refs buy it. The Heat run horns, and notice how they put Wade on the same side as LeBron. This puts as much pressure on the defense as they can handle. Watch how Paul George foolishly helps one pass away on the Wade post-up. His closeout on LeBron is bad, and this is when the Heat are at their absolute best on offense. The Heat again go back to horns, with the same option of Wade to the strong side corner. They opt to pick and roll, which gets a switch and a post-up of LeBron on Stevenson. There's simply nothing Indiana can do about this shot. For the 4th time in a row, the Heat run horns. However, if you don't face up with the ball in the high post, you're susceptible to a defender sneaking in for a steal. With little time on the shot clock, the Heat run their point guard screen for LeBron. In the past, they'd switch this, and George Hill would get toasted with the LeBron drive to the rim. This time, Paul George goes under the screen. Indiana doesn't mind these shots from LeBron, and he hits a very tough 3. Indiana goes back to its bread and butter high pick and roll with Hibbert posting on the weak side. This play killed the Heat in Game 4 as it allowed Hibbert deep post position when his man had to step over on the pick and roll. However, in Game 5, they didn't swing it to Hibbert and West couldn't hit the tough shot. The Heat then turned to a play the Warriors love to run for Clay and Steph. Ray Allen screens the ball, then gets a flare screen by LeBron for a 3. The Pacers defend this well, but Augustine doesn't get around the LeBron screen well, then decides to run at Chalmers to double him. This forces Hibbert to step towards LeBron, opening up a shot for Haslem. Make no mistake, Indiana is happy for this shot, but Haslem hits it. Indiana turns to a set they haven't run much in this series, running Paul George around a loop of 3 screens. Just watching Stevenson is maddening, as he is really slow to get in position and doesn't set the crucial second screen. He makes matters worse by backing up to the corner, crowding that side. I have no doubt he was supposed to cut to the other side of the court. This allows the Heat defense to completely overload, doubling Paul George and having 4 defenders on one side of the court. When Indiana does get it down low, they double that too, forcing a timeout, all because Lance Stevenson failed to execute his part. The Pacers then do a double flare screen for Paul George, but Augustine doesn't pass it to him, even though he's open. The second option is West in the high post, and even though they get a nice play at the rim, LeBron strips Mahinmi. The Heat run the Ray Allen ball screen flare again. Ineffective ball screen by Ray Allen is why the play doesn't work, but the Heat do run a simple screen and roll for Chalmers. Mahinmi helps one pass away. This should have been West helping. That said, the Pacers are delighted that Haslem is shooting this shot again. He just happens to hit it. The Pacers run their high ball screen with West and a triangle setup on the weak side. They get the Heat out of position, but Augustine won't or can't pass to Mahinmi for the layup initially. The Heat show incredible athletic ability to recover and harass. Augustine does get a shot off, but they miss their best chance. Miami turns again to the point guard screen for LeBron, and Indiana defends it well. This time they rotate Hill onto Haslem, another shot the Pacers are happy for him to take. The Heat again turn to the Ray Allen ball screen flare. This time the screen is effective, and George Hill has to switch on to LeBron. Cole wanders over to set him another screen, and Augustine inexplicably leaves LeBron by himself at the top of the key. With Augustine still out there, the Heat can ignore him completely, especially as the clock winds down to end the third. This is one of the only straight-up double teams the Heat try. However, it results in 2 free throws. The damage, however, has been done. So there you have it, sports fans. The way the Heat run offense most of the time is sort of against what I stand for. I feel like when you have 3 guys standing around on the weak side for the entire possession, that's just not the way the game's supposed to be played. And it certainly isn't giving them any easier shots. This is why they're scoring so poorly in a lot of these stretches of the game. Indiana is a great defensive team. They can shut that down and overload because they're not worried about the weak side guys cutting to the basket or being a threat. So if they could do this against the San Antonio Spurs, I anticipate a real problem. I think that Popovich is going to be able to shut that down and really cause trouble. On the other side, the way they aggressively play that pick and roll, to me, I would think that the Spurs are going to slice them up to no end. So in reality, the Spurs can destroy the Heat, I think. Now, I'm pretty sure it's going to go 7 games because they're both terrific teams, and that's what we want to see. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs come out and just really put a number on the Heat. So we'll see what happens tonight if we get a 7th game in the Eastern Conference Finals. Don't miss our Larry Kuhn interview. Don't miss our post-game show tonight live. We're not in studio, but we'll be back in our normal digs. But if you didn't see our live in studio from Game 5, check it out in the link below. And don't forget, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?